Right. Well, we're very pleased to welcome to AnyGoodFilms the director of Great White, Martin Wilson. Martin, thank you very much for talking to us. Very grateful for your time.
Absolute pleasure being here. Yeah, it's awesome.
So, with your film as your debut feature, we can't talk about this obviously without referring to the granddaddy of them all, Jaws. Now, that film was notorious for all the problems that Spielberg had with that film, making it. What about you? What were your problems with making this, if you had any?
Look, I think the toughest thing about filmmaking is time, and when you're working on water, you're working with the elements. So you're working with the tides, the wind, the rain, all these elements. And once once something slightly doesn't work in your favor, you're going to lose time. And I had 25 days. So that was a really tough schedule. When you're in the elements at the behest of the elements. And so when it doesn't work for you and you lose 2 hours or an hour here, the schedule, you still need to get those shots. So it's really tough is time and water and time, very, very tough. And because shooting above water, what I realized was as soon as you go deeper and you have to have the infrastructure of boats and things like that, it probably slows you down 40 to 50%. And then when you're shooting underwater.
So did no one try to... Sorry, Martin. I was going to say, did anyone sort of try and talk you out of this in terms of shooting on water is a problem, don't do it?
No one talked. Well, I mean, even if they tried, they wouldn't have succeeded, because it was my opportunity, my big opportunity to make a feature film. So you do crazy things when your dreams are in front of your face.
So no phone calls to Steven Spielberg then for a bit of advice.
I'd love to make a phone call to Mr. Spielberg, because he's obviously at the top of the tree in terms of directing, and he has great experience. I mean, what he went through, like you watch the making of Jaws, like we all have, and we marvel at that film in so many ways. It's always the shark isn't working, that was the catch cry, So he's supposed to be a really awesome dude. So I'm sure he would have been very gracious in his advice to me.
So the shark that you've got in Great White, having watched it, seems to be there's a combination of stock footage in there, a bit of CGI, and models too. Would that be right?
Absolutely correct. Yes, animatronic, CGI, and stock footage. Yes.
So in terms of dumping animatronics in a shark in the water, did that cause you or create any problems for you?
Again, it's just, if it doesn't work, like Bruce in Jaws, if that wasn't working, you're running behind schedule. So we called it Brenda. Brenda was an animatronic shark. And above the water, there's like 6 to 8 guys, blokes, just pulling all these different levers, and you got to move different things. And look, it's underwater. Time slows down, because you have to change your lens, and then you have to take the camera out, and then you change the underwater housing. So yes, the whole thing with animatronics does take a bigger team, and then the more infrastructure you have, the longer it takes. Yeah.
Was it breaking down much, or?
A little bit, yes. So you try and shoot other things, but I think they'd come a little bit forward in animatronics since Bruce's days. So we were a little bit more fortunate.
So why Brenda? Was that the name of your lawyer, like Bruce was with Spielberg's?
No, actually, I don't know how we came up with this. Is the B word, I guess, but and the art department came up with it. So I should have thought of a better story there, but And so no, it was. I now remember it was the lawyer, the shark. Oh my goodness. No, I don't have a lawyer called Brenda.
Okay, so
Very funny.
it's a really you've got shots in this which are they're stunning, really beautiful shots, and you make the location look absolutely stunning. And you've got a lot of extreme high angle sort of God's eye shots,
Yeah.
which seems to be on the increase, that type of shot. How did you
Yeah.
achieve that type of shot in your film?
Well, the point of what I was trying to do with the beauty of the piece was that to get a little bit to have this exotic land that, like, if you're sitting in freezing cold London or somewhere, you know, it's a bit of a, you know, you get out of your world and go into a new, different world. And the other idea behind that beauty was the beguiling nature of it. And you can't really imagine such a beautiful, the water's so you know, lush, and the images are so, you know, rich and sensuous. You don't, and we know the water in Australia is beautiful and warm and inviting, yet there's something very dangerous lurking underneath there. So we were trying to juxtapose, I guess, the beauty to the danger. And then the high shots and the God's eye stuff. I mean, I'm a massive Hitchcock used to do this a lot to set the scene. And so it was setting the scene and also trying to really get the idea that these guys were isolated in this vast body of water with no one, this tiny, fragile raft. So it's setting the sense of isolation as a you know, a tension point in the script, I guess.
Well, there's a shot in the birds, the famous shot in
Yeah.
your birds, which she's used, but that was like a combination of live footage and a matte painting as well.
Yeah.
With yours seems to be, you know, everything is real there.
All real.
And was that
Yeah.
achieved by what? With using what, a drone?
Drone footage. Yeah, drone footage. I think you got to be careful not to overuse it, and you of course expose yourself to people saying that, which is fine. But I guess we were trying to one way to really showcase the beauty and the nature of Northern Australia and the danger of Northern Australia and the association with sharks is to get up high and really get that sort of to really, you know, showcase this isolation that, you know, we're Australia, we're an island, you know, and around it is a vast dangerous body of water.
How problematic is it to get shots like that? Because shooting on the coast where the winds are going to be high and your drone is up so high, I can't imagine that would have been an easy shot or easy shots to achieve.
It was, yeah. I mean, the drones are so good these days, you know, and the pilots are amazing. So, I mean, in days past, it would have been helicopters. So, yeah, look, it was just, you know, it was, when was it? It was in November. It was you know, it was fairly solid weather. You know, so it wasn't, you know, it was, that was probably the easiest part of the shoot, was the drone footage. I must say, you know, because you just get the guys up there and they shoot their stuff, and you just got to position the raft and get all those things right. But yeah, that was one of the easier components of the shoot.
So if that was the easiest part to shoot, physically, what was the most difficult part to shoot of the film?
I think it's definitely, I think it's the I mean, every water scene was difficult because stunts and water and big planes, which are heavy and dangerous, you know, things can go wrong, you know. So there's always the issue of making sure everything is safe and the time. So, you know, and when actors are going underwater and
you froze
all the water. Oh, sorry, mate.
No, that's okay. I missed the last part of that because it froze. You're saying that when you're going underwater, that's
I think the hardest scenes are the underwater scenes because of communication. Obviously, you can communicate with the cast once they come, and So you know, you're relying really on strong storyboards and communication. It's very, you know, communication in any industry is the most important thing. And when it's, and when you're sort of, when it's far more difficult because of the elements of the water, that's tough.
So you've had a very successful and extensive career previous to this in commercials down in Australia, and you've been doing it for a long time. Why is it taking you so long to bring us your first feature?
I think it's just, I've had so many false starts of getting that opportunity. You know, it was just, you know, there's a combination of things where the amount of opportunities from where I live isn't as numerous as if I was in London, or if I was in Los Angeles or New York. And, you know, in Australia, TV commercials, you know, people can look down upon them. So you've got to get out of the stigma, and often the only way to do that is to prove yourself and do a feature. And the other thing is, feature film directing is with the first time with your first film, it's very hard to get one off the ground unless you've done one, because then you're always that first time feature film director and people are like, oh, we don't know, and, you know, can we trust you, and there's a lot of money at stake. So sometimes you just need to be in the right place at the right time with the right people behind you, and then you get your opportunity. And for me, it was this 20-year odyssey to do that. So, and you know, so finally I've got there, finally.
Well done. So with this first one under your belt, what feature film can we look forward to from you next?
Well, I love obviously genre filmmaking and creature feature stuff, and I grew up as a kid loving The Thing and loving Escape from New York, you know, all the John Carpenter stuff, and you know, The Ghost in the Darkness and these sort of films, you know, really action thrillers. So the next one I've actually got is around a scientist who wakes up 30,000 feet in the air and he's lost his memory, and there's an experimentation that's gone on board a plane, and without giving too much away, it's a bit of a cross between Dog Soldiers and The Thing. So
Oh, right.
all happening up in 30,000 feet above the air in a military sort of aircraft. So it's a horror thriller set on a plane, all in that one location, basically.
And when can we expect to see that?
I don't know. I mean, it's with the producers, and, you know, we've just started some casting, so we're getting into it. The other project I've got is a really exciting thing about the big cat legend in Australia. And I know that's in the UK too, where there's, you know, in Australia, it was in World War II, the US, when the US Marines and servicemen were in the 40s were here, they had mascots, cougars and stuff. And when they left, they basically let them out in the bush rather than shooting them. And there's also, you know, legends of circus accidents and panthers escaping into the Australian bush. And I've got a story there with a bunch of teenagers going on an adventure in the Aussie forest, a bit like Ghost in the Darkness, you know, meets Stand By Me. Really, it's very much an Australian version of Stand By Me. So they're my two, you know, films that I've got that I'm really excited about moving forward with.
The last fat cat I saw was James Corden and his appearance in Cats. But that's
yeah, apparently that didn't go down too well, but yeah.
We won't talk about that. We won't talk about that.
That's very funny. Yeah. Yeah, no, I've always thought cats are creepy, but these are the big ones.
If you've seen Cats, you'll know what creepy is. But anyway,
it's very funny.
From all of us at Any Good Films, thank you ever so much for your time.
Thanks, Simon.
We look forward to your next film. Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you, mate. Thank you.
And you. Thanks.